Magic Makers! Karolina here again after a while. Today I'm joined by my little assistant who will be crawling in the background, so just so you know. And I decided to make a video about my tarot decks collection because that's something that you've requested for quite a while. So I'll go through each and every single one tarot decks that I currently own and give you like a little tiny review of them. So let's dive into it. So the first deck that I want to show you is my very first tarot deck that I got from my mom when I was 15. So it's been a while that I've had it for now. And as you can see, this deck is the Crowley's tarot, which is pretty famous. And there are some differences in between Crowley's and the Thoth tarot and the Right-Way tarot, for example, in the numbers, because here in Crowley's tarot you've got 11 for lust or strength and 8 for justice, whereas with the Rider-Waite you have it opposite. But anyhow, I had a lot of fun with this deck. It has beautiful artwork. I still love it, but I wouldn't really recommend this if you are just starting with your tarot readings. The reason is, if you look at the cards, they are very complex and there's a lot going on in each one of them. The reason is because they combine all different symbology from all different cultures and systems. So you will find astrology, numerology, Kabbalah, Egyptian symbology, pretty much anything that you can think of and imagine is included in here. So again, if you're only starting, it might be a little bit too much and a bit overwhelming. Also, what I don't really recommend for starting with tarot is that you have like little descriptions of all the cards. Like, I mean, with the great arcana, with the major arcana, that's usually the case. But here the descriptions are included even in the minor arcana, and I think sometimes it can get a little bit in the way with your intuition because you tend to focus on the word immediately and then it shuts down different messages that you might be getting on intuitive level. But as always, if you love the artwork, you feel drawn to this deck, then I think it's definitely more important than me telling you that this is not a good beginner deck, okay? So if you love it, you want to start and work with it just like I did, basically, you know, like I'm telling you this, but I also learned with this deck, then go for it for sure. I'm not really using these cards much anymore, and the main reason is not because I don't like them, but because I just have other much more favorite decks that I love to work with. Another deck in my collection is the Wild Unknown Tarot, which is super popular. It's a bit hipster, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And if you're looking for a deck that will really make you feel like a proper witch, I think this is the one. There goes like a little cheat sheet with it, which is quite nice because with the Crowley's Tarot, you really need to buy the whole book to get all the explanations of the meanings and everything, which are quite elaborate, each and every one of them. Whereas here you have just a couple of words, basically like super short messages that tell you very basic description of each and every card, and then it's up to how you interpret them. As you can see here, this is the major arcana, the Empress, so it has a name, but like I was saying before, this is the minor arcana, the Three of Cups, and as you can see, there's no writing on it, so it really leaves you a lot of space for your own interpretation, for your own feelings, and what you personally can find in the card. For me personally, I love this deck especially for a bit deeper work because it has a bit of a darker vibe to me, and I'm very respectful towards this deck because it just feels very powerful. The images and the symbolics and just the feelings that I have every time I work with this deck. As for working with these cards for beginners or the level of your, advancement with tarot, I think this is somewhere in the middle. It can be sometimes quite difficult actually to work with these cards because they are quite simple. And I know this contradicts what I was saying previously with the Crowley's Tarot, that it's way too complex, so not really good for beginners, and this one is simple, and I'm telling you that it's not good for beginners either. But you might be someone who actually loves simple images and it makes you feel more confident with interpreting them, and in that case it would be absolutely perfect for you. Another deck that I own is the Fountain Tarot deck, and that's my absolute favorite deck of all times, and I am so in love with these cards that I just can't get enough of them. I love the artwork so much. They were made, like, the author that made them actually created 72 separate oil paintings, and then he reproduced them into these gorgeous cards. And there's also a booklet coming along with it, which is a very nice interpretations that are a bit longer than, for example, the Wild Unknown. Also shows you what the reversal meaning, if you get the cards upside down, means. And this deck is or includes a lot of people. There's not many animals or things that wouldn't involve some kind of a persona in it, but I just love the colors that are so mellow and beautiful. And to me, this deck is just so caring and peaceful, even though there are some cards like the Tower, for example, that can be quite scary, but still, I just love these. And I think they are perfect if you're only beginning with cards. Now, I might be a bit biased because, as I said, I just love these so much. What might be a little bit difficult with them is that they are quite abstract, like this one, if you have a look at it. But for me personally, I love this style because it leaves a lot of space for your own interpretation and intuition. And yeah, I use these cards for the majority of my readings, and they always surprise me with something new. That's why I love them as well. Another deck in my collection that I own is the Circo Tarot deck, which comes in this little tie-dye handmade packet and also has a little booklet with some basic descriptions, nothing too elaborate. And I love this deck because it just brings such a funky vibe into my collection, and it's very colorful and very playful. And I actually backed it up on Kickstarter, which, by the way, is a great source for finding independent, beautiful tarot decks if you're looking for some. And I use this one especially if I need to raise my mood a little bit, if I need to stay positive. This is not to say that there are not some negative cards, like, for example, this one, the Ten of Knives. It's actually quite scary, but still, the way the artwork is done just makes me feel joyous and happy and funky. And so when I think that life just feels too serious and I need a bit of a break, this is the deck that I go to. Again, if you're only starting with tarot, I actually think this is a pretty good starting or like a beginner deck because it has a good balance in between specific, concrete images and some abstract artwork that really blends nicely together. So gives you something that you can hold on to, that, you know, you don't have to think about too much because it just sparks this immediate association in your mind. But on the other hand, for example, the colors and the weird shapes and weird animals and creatures that you see sometimes on these cards give you enough space to allow your intuition to work together with your mind. And the very last tarot deck that I want to show you is my own tarot deck that I created when I was doing my or going through my tarot course, because this was one of the exercises that we were doing in order to understand the meaning of each card a little bit deeper. And so even though I'm not using these cards anymore, I actually learned so much with them, because right after I gave up the Crowley's Tarot because it just felt too complicated for me, I was working with these for a while, and since I created them, I felt like I had much better understanding of them. But then eventually, I think if you're gonna go and create your own deck, it's an excellent exercise, but eventually you will see that you will grow out of them because you will need to learn a little bit more and get more experience with other decks too that will deepen your knowledge of tarot in general. So today I don't use these cards for readings anymore, but sometimes I just like to go through them and I keep them more as a memory, really. So these were all my tarot decks. I will probably make another video about oracle decks too, because I've got a couple of those as well. And yeah, I'll give you all the links down below the video for all the tarot decks that I own, just in case you like them too or feel inspired by them. Also, if you want to share in the comments down below what your favorite decks are. Josephine, which one is your favorite? Ah, okay. Then please do so, because I'm interested always about finding new beautiful decks. If you want to learn about my tips how to find the coolest tarot decks ever, then watch my video that I will link down below too. And yeah, thanks for watching, spending your time with me, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!